recording. Let me know if that pops up again. We shouldn't, but just let me know if it does. All right, everybody, welcome to your first stop. So I am going to answer some questions here, but let's kind of go through the quick history first. These questions, it's the same questions pretty much on a nightly basis. So if you have more questions, I'll take them after. So welcome to the Big Red Barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides.
Oh, sure, it's no horses.
Yep. So I'm immune to it. I'm out here 7 nights a week, except for when I have to call off on Amber. So it was actually disheartening because I was like, man, I had this streak going. But anyway, the history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose just so we could talk more about your devices. This is the same red barn that held delivery horses that carried milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So let's talk about spirit boxes. How many do we have in play tonight? So 1, 2, 3, and mine is the 4th. So we have 4 spirit boxes in play tonight. So everybody wants to ask the same questions whenever they get a communication device. What do you think that question is? Come on, think of Ouija boards.
If it's real?
You're not going to ask a ghost if they're real.
Oh.
Is it demonic or not?
Who is it?
Mainly, think of your movies, Ouija board is somebody here, right?
Somebody here. Okay.
Yeah, so that's normally what everybody wants to ask, the first question. So if Tammy hears the word no, that means somebody's here, just so you guys know. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. You don't get actual paranormal proof out of yeses and nos unless it's disembodied and you can actually prove it. That's a whole nother field trip for all of you. But at any rate, so in a space like this, especially for those of you that have never used the spirit box before, I would tell you to, ask questions you already know the answers to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Now, all of you are using radio stations and DJs and lyrics and all that stuff to try to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to them, but blood, fire truck, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer if it was direct. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there is some kind of 2 things going on at the same time, whether from the same device or not. What I mean by that is that means that Gary can actually have a reading that's sky high, and all of a sudden we have somebody's full name show up on another spirit box. Now, I have a word list dictionary that it's generating words from time to time. That's why 80% of it's going to be garbage. But we're going to use my spirit box as the next example. At times, to kind of verify what's going on, let's say I have the word art on my spirit box, and then Amber hears the number 40. Neither one of those 2 terms by themselves mean anything at this location, but put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? A lot of these people are going to be from the 17 and 1800s. They all have the same names, Georges and Charleses, and you figure it out. But again, we need to know who the heck we're talking to, and we do that by getting a secondary verifier. You're going to hear me say that a lot. That's cool, but that's a little vague. We're going to wait for something else to pop up with that. Throughout the night, I am going to withhold information from you, purposely, so that way everybody here has a genuine experience. Is that fair? Yeah, I'm all about the real stuff. So, let's see, cameras. Let's kind of already have the gist on yours. I want to get yours started so we can actually get everybody to work. So, Michelle, point one of your lasers on the ground. I know you're trying to get a piece of gum out. Perfect. So, basically, when you guys are filming this, obviously you're going to help with listening in on the spirit box at the same time. That's why you guys are all on like multi-duty here. But you don't want to point it down because we already know what the squares look like. You're literally, Jimmy, going to take 2 steps backwards so you get a nice little panoramic view. Perfect, right there. So you guys are going to be anywhere between like 2 to 5 feet away from each other. That way you can still listen in, and in the event that Avery actually misses something on his spirit box, the audio will still record it if I'm not nearby. So that way, this is how I kind of work this out with a party of 3 and then 2 parties of 2. But again, when you guys are moving, you move in sync, nice and slow. People walking by, we kill the lasers, we don't film cars. So that's kind of the gist of it. Now, there are going to be certain spaces, Michelle, where the lasers are kind of out of commission because of where we are. So again, that's where you'll help Avery with what he's listening in on. And then, of course, we're going to do a few experiments with lasers tonight in other locations. So, and you guys can also swap amongst yourselves. So just kind of keep your devices within your own party. Same thing with every other group. So if you guys wanted to switch up, or if you 2 wanted to switch up, feel free to do so. Just make sure it stays within your own party. Mitch, your camera. You're going to be looking for 2 things for us. So obviously the blue and black spots, right? You're going to be moving around. But I want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. We're going to be the warmest thing out here, which is going to give you an array of color on your screen. It's much easier to find those cold spots if there's a nice warm 97 to 99 degree temperature in there, so that way we can actually see the difference. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The sky is no surface. That blue dot bouncing around is looking for surfaces. So it's going to automatically default to the sky every time it's in view. Sometimes it's going to be impossible, so just kind of do your best. That blue dot is not an almighty, like this is what happened, but it is a nice verifier for when things do occur. Sometimes I find things that are not on that blue dot, just so you know. We're going to talk more about that at the very end. All right, I think everybody has a great gist of the devices except for Gary, which I'm going to show him more at the next location. Are we ready to get away from football players and ponies? Because I know I am. Let's go talk about some deep history. What do you got? Oh, you're supposed to.
It jumped to a 2.9.
Over here?
Yeah.
Get it close to the building.
That's why it's kind of building around.
Go ahead and get as close to the building as you can. See if it goes up. Oh, it actually goes away. So I have a 2.9. Okay.
I was running with a 0, and then 2.1, and then 2.9.
So anywhere between like 2 to 6 is pretty common in here, and they just kind of pop up and they go away, pop up, go away. I've had other ones a little bit higher than that, but it's usually an average of 2 to 6. So again, I'm not going to say I'm not surprised, but I'm not surprised in the fact that it went away and we just verified it's not coming from the building. So that's pretty good. I don't see any electrical poles around this corner either, so it's pretty good. All right, perfect. Any other readings coming out of that besides the 2.9? Yeah. All right, let's do this. We're going to head up over this way.
Probably not while we're walking. You can, huh?
If you want to trade later.
Okay.
I'm taking in weird spots. So, this place, let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on here. That way you guys kind of know what you're actually getting yourselves into. First off, spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes. So, what is this place? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with 5 French restaurant, came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So everybody kind of has a layout of the land. So who are these people? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses, because the dad was also named Charles. See why we look for those secondary verifiers? I need to know which Charles we're actually dealing with. So, with that said, the son and the nephew, sorry, I lost track of thought because that guy was like, wait a minute. That's why those people. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina.
4.3.
4.3. Test that wire over there on the wall. See if it goes up any higher. Nothing?
We're at 1.3 on it.
Interesting. I like 4.3. So now we're going to escalate it. Tell me anything above 4.3. So that way I'm not writing down a trillion numbers. Let's just go as high as we can possibly get it. So we're going to talk about Eliza, the wife, just because she's way cooler anyway because I hate politics. So I want to talk about politics. But with that said, Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So when you guys are asking her how old she was when she got married, you are not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. It is going to be according to today's standards. But she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home so he could see him one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she got married. This is 1744. You don't marry somebody in 1744 for a green card or citizenship. She's from England. So again, we're not even a country yet, so those things didn't even exist. She did marry him out of love, so everybody kind of knows and you don't have to poke that bear when you're asking her questions. She was right. Dad did not die right. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes blue jeans blue. The only one, Jimmy, the only one wearing it tonight? You wearing blue jeans?
No shirt.
Nobody's wearing blue jeans tonight? What do you got on? Sorry, I always have to point out at least one example, because we always have somebody in denim. Oh. Yeah, but they're jeans. So they were dyed with indigo. So So it actually started right here as far as being a cash crop. But she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep them cultivated in our weird temperatures. It's not always hot here. Once she figured it out, she calls her father and says, "Hey Dad, rice plantation's going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo." We now have an international businesswoman that helped get our country going. So, pretty big deal. You guys are all here for the weird stuff. That's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird. So, Eliza is the second wife named Eliza. Charles, back to back. First wife, Eliza, allegedly died in January of 1744. Some reports will actually say that she died just a few days ago, like June 21st I found, June something like that. But again, most reports say that she died in January of 1744. He married the second Eliza in May of 1744. So 5 months after his wife allegedly dies, he gets married to another Eliza. The weird thing about that whole situation is that name that starts with the letter L. So if you want to ask her, which Eliza we're dealing with, you can ask which Eliza. Normally I assign that to the person using the spirit box that I'm using tonight, so we'll kind of move on. Avery, I want you to ask Eliza when we separate 2 questions. Basically, what happened to the mansion and when did that happen? Like, we're looking for specifics. So again, kind of keep those 2 questions in the back of your mind. Those are easy ones and you haven't said a word all night, so I want to get you talking. As far as the children go, Amber, I want you going after how many children she had and what their names were. Do not ask any other questions other than that. The reason for that is because there's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including the little tiny EMF readings that Gary's already getting. So kind of stick to those 2 questions and see if you get answers. I'm giving you the hard ones. Eliza's death. Ask her anything you want to. How old she was, what she died from.
Are we talking the second Eliza?
Yes, second Eliza. Age, how, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, try to stick to those 4 questions. Those of you with earbuds, obviously you can share them with whoever you brought them with. Avery, yours is nice and easy because obviously it's open air. We are going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes in this location kind of spreading about. I do have to show Gary how to use that REM pod, so I'm going to keep him behind. But lasers need to stay off of vehicles, and we do not go in between vehicles. We're actually fortunate tonight because I only see about 6, maybe 7 cars total. We have lots of space we can actually work in. So I'll be bouncing around with all of you, kind of seeing what's going on with your spirit boxes or any activity that's being seen in the cameras. So let me work with Gary first, and then I'll be bouncing around with the rest of you. So Amber, if you want to stay behind too, because I know it's just a tin can. Fine, you can do that too. All right, Gary, come on over. Let me show you how to use that thing, man. It's like I'm filming it.
Anytime I get up.
Like, taking pictures of I love that Gary. Like, so we've had a 4 phone and I heard it.
Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
We're over here in the corner.
Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
It's Liza.
Eliza.
Liza.
Eliza?
Liza.
Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
I get to ask her what year.
Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
What year?
You're not talking into that. You're just talking like Liza's here. Like, Liza, what happened to the mansion? When did it happen?
Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
Liza, what happened to the mansion? When did it happen? Is that all he wanted you asking though? Those questions? Just keep asking like you're talking to her.
Liza, what happened to the mansion? Liza, what happened to the mansion? Liza, what happened to the mansion?
Liza, what happened to the mansion?
Alright, kids, what do we got going on here? Anything going on with your spirit box, David?
Nothing really.
Getting static in the channels and stuff, but really nothing.
Again, in the entire time we're going to spend together, it's an average of like 10, maybe 12 terms total that are going to come out clear as day. So, kind of keep that in mind. And there is an antenna on there. The only thing I'll ask is when we're walking from space to space, just push that antenna back in. It's right there. That way you might actually get a little bit more reception. Any movement coming out of your camera? I know it's small and hard to watch.
Not much. Nothing that I've seen, no.
Okay. Again, these cameras, it's not always a real-time moment. It's usually about the review. Because I put these on YouTube so you guys can watch them anywhere. TV, phone, whatever. That way you guys can see them nice and big.
So what I don't understand, like when I'm doing this, like, am I looking at it like that? Am I keeping it up on her?
So when I'm reviewing the video, I like to kind of have the base in there so I can kind of see like where the base is versus where the pen is. So that way I can kind of look in between there.
Okay.
That's how I like to review.
Gotcha. I go like like against a wall or something.
Liza, what happened to the mansion?
Watch the cars. Those will make car alarms go off.
Liza, when did it happen? Tell us what happened to the mansion.
This for one?
This is gonna cool off a lot.
What happened to the mansion? Liza, can you tell me what happened to the mansion?
Got anything on there, buddy? That one's hard to work with. Yeah. That one's hard because you never know when things are going to pop up. You get any ghosts in your laser? Make sure you kick out the ghost trap when they do go in so you can slam them shut and I can take them home. Okay. all to the back, but yeah, just go ahead and throw your lasers. You got a video. Go ahead and you got to use a GoPro. Avery, top
yeah.
button on the right. Just circle.
Can you turn on the laser now?
Not yet. Down here. I call it
I'm listening for a name.
Wait a second, LPC goes.
Look, just big. Palmetto bugs.
Is it legal?
You got the camera now. So Avery, I have you go on the other side of mom and point the camera going this way. So yeah, stand kind of almost there you go, perfect. And point the camera going down the alley. So basically what we're looking for here is you're going to kind of try to keep that there as long as you can. We're looking for movement to go in between. So this is kind of a nice phase where we've been experimenting with this a lot more. Obviously, if people are coming through, I'll say go ahead and cut it, just so that way the security guard can start to come through. Now, you guys are probably seeing a little bit of dust particles, like right where my fingers are. There is a definitive line that's coming through for the center dot, but I'm really looking for that weird breakaway in the video camera. It'd be nice and shine up the street. All right, any names heard along the way? Nothing.
Tom or Thomas?
Where did you hear Thomas?
That's what she said.
Right around the corner here? Okay.
And then possibly Christopher when we first started.
And nothing came out of yours, Jim? Nothing. Nothing clear. Alright, let's go ahead and mute that in here because that's a hotel. I don't know if you're waking anybody up next to the mic. This is a quiet space. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. Amber, did you get anything at all? Who heard number 5 earlier? So I did confirm Big John's birthday was September 5th. That's what we had.
And that's weird because when I was asking Eliza, when did you die, I got September.
Right.
You said it may have bled over because
Right.
one
So
man
you
died
had
in
in September, she has the 5, and it's her birthday. Like she shares her birthday with Big John. That's crazy. So, very interesting. I'll be interested to see if I actually spot anything else scary. He's like, I'm out of here, man. I didn't bring her with me. But this space, when we crossed that last crosswalk, here's why I asked for names. We're standing on one of the first streets Charleston ever had. So that last crosswalk was where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So we are inside the original Charlestown. So again, first street here means people lived here. I have a full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived here. Now the names I commonly get in this location on a 6 or 7 week loop, and I'll explain that here in a minute, is Benjamin and John. Now, Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. When I say people lived here, I'm not talking like dozens of houses lined this street. I'm talking like 2 to 5 people at a time. Benjamin and John were 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. So, he's going to go that way. So they always take the garbage out this time. I need to really time this a little bit differently. I normally don't look at time, we just have we're here at the same time we're working on that. But I don't have anything significant about 1801 or Benjamin or John. I get the same names every 6 to 7 weeks. Now, we're at week 3 to 4, kind of working in that 4 to 5 week part of the loop, so I wasn't really expecting it. But for some odd reason, I do want to say that there's a Christopher on that list. And the reason why I asked about Thomas is we can talk about Thomas and Pinckney. So if we were back further, it may have been in relation to Thomas. But I'll definitely look at both names on the list for this location, so that way you guys can actually see it as well. Now, here's why I think this is actually going on. These bricks are original, just like Michelle was asking along the way here. So these are what we call Belgian blocks. They're made of granite. Granite is not supposed to have an electrical charge to it at all. So they would have an electrical charge coming up from the earth of about 1.1. So very simple. Take a brick and put your device on that brick, and let me know if you get a reading out of it. You can set it right on the ground.
7.3.
That's
9.5. 10.5.
Oh.
11. 11.5. 0.6.
Wow.
11.7.
So we started at 7.9.
Or 11.
Holy cow. Like,
That's his conduit box over here.
way too far away. And there's nothing underneath here. They do archaeological research. We should not have any type of reading at all. Granite does not hold an electrical charge like, say, limestone. It's supposed to have an electrical charge to it. That's why it's supposed to stir up activity paranormal wise. But again, granite is not supposed to. So, very interesting. Go ahead and pick up your device if you want to take it across the hard bricks. But here's what I think is going on here. It's what we call the stone tape theory. So in a nutshell, these granite blocks have been here for hundreds of years, basically hanging on to the memories of all the things that are going on here, and then replaying it back and forth. Now every once in a while I told you we'll get names here, the Benjamin and John. We'll get a third name. That name is James. That's 3 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. I have no significance of who the hell these people were in 1801. It's just the same names over and over and over again. Before people lived here, Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Out. So we do get terms wrapped around Freemasons. We'll get the word symbols, have the word Illuminati show up on the spirit boxes 6 times last year, 3 times this year. Verify. Who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio, first off? And second, why am I only hearing it while we're in this location? So Illuminati is normally not a radio chatter type of topic, just is the reason why I bring that up. But we will get terms wrapped around the Freemasons as well on your spirit boxes. So here's what's going to happen from here. I'm stoked because the highest number I've ever gotten out of this space was 11.7. He gave me an 11.8. So again, it seems to be escalating. Other nights, if you go through the other investigations I've done down here, nothing. Like it's absolutely nil. You put something down on a brick, and obviously you never know. That's why I had you put it down and see if it's actually going to occur. The name's Thomas and Christopher. I'm going to definitely dive into it. The next place we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it. Why? I've been kicked out. That's the fun part of the story. And I will tell you how I got kicked out. But it is considered residential at the end of it. I'd still like to stir up all that activity by standing outside of it and still telling you the crazy story that went on down there. You will see other tours go down there. But we're allowed to go down halfway. It's not fair for my 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 other people. Because that's normally what will happen in the summertime is groups of 20 down there. So that's why I say normally 20 to 60. It's not fair for them to try to work around us and we're, us maneuver around them. But me talking about that place over there, it stirs up a lot of activity for the rest of our time together because we're going to be relatively close. And it'll go bleed over like what we have in St. John's. It happens all the time with that location. As we exit, we're obviously going to stop the video cameras because we're cutting through a neighborhood. We don't want to record in the neighborhood. So if you want to turn around and get a long shot of the alley as you exit, that's perfectly fine too. It's a really cool shot on both types of cameras because you never know if cars are going to come through. And I thought I just saw a flicker, but it could have just been catching my eye. It was right around here. So go ahead and throw your laser. Yeah.
Sit on the ground again and kneel like you were. Right now I'm holding a 3.0 because I've
Getting eaten by mosquitoes. Huh. He said kill the laser.
yeah. I mean, I tried it.
Like he wasn't there and all this flew.
Right, he wasn't there. You weren't there.
Well, let's hope we don't lose it because you turned it on by accident.
That did not happen the first time.
Okay.
I assure you that does not happen. I was just getting red, and I'm like, why can I not pick them up? It was very difficult. Eventually, I was able to. And then when I scanned back here, I didn't see anyone here until I landed on you, and then everybody appeared.
Well, the other thing I'm going to point out, your finger is very close to the lens.
That could be it.
13.8.
14.1. 3.4.
Wow. I don't think I've ever had this much time
Does
spent.
it matter that it's not on the break, it's between the break?
No, natural EMF coming from the earth is only running about 1.1. Like in the units of measure that we're using. So these really should have anything above 1.1. There's nothing in those bricks allegedly that's going to give off that kind of charge. Can't be right here. Just the bumping ahead. Anything higher than that 14.8? Or is it holding?
It's holding right now at 14.4, 14.5.
It's fluctuating a little bit. Interesting. Are we hearing anything on the spirit boxes? You guys got the spirits plugged in? Amber, you got anything going on at all? I'm stoked. I can't tell you how excited that's been.
Back up to 14.9, 20.
Ask questions. I'm going to go after Christopher since the name popped up. Christopher, can you tell us what year you lived here? Got a lot of boxes here. You can put that answer. I don't think I've ever asked questions in this location. Because I've only ever gotten residual stuff. And that Thomas down here, I want to say it was a Christopher Gadsden that lived down here. I don't know the year. What's the fluctuation now for you?
To 13.6, 0.7.
We're in between like 12 and a half to 14.
What was the one that had the wand on it that took it across?
That's the same device.
Okay.
That's
just got Christopher again.
Christopher, can you tell us what year you lived here, please? We know it started with an 18. What were the last two numbers of the year you lived here? Of course, I don't have my spirit box out. I'm sitting here listening. We got Isabella. And the word leave.
You got leave?
And the word stop. We're going to take that cue.
Say that again?
I have stopped, leave, and hell. I think we're going to go.
Yeah.
Grab your place.
Yeah, I don't like
Good night,
I don't like
Christopher.
the hell stuff.
I saw the laser movie.
You got something in the laser?
Should I turn this off?
Yeah, you could just hit the stop button. Because I do go down there, did not pay to get filmed, and I don't need a lawsuit against me. So just kind of keep it very discreet. You're perfect. Look at you. You are a YouTuber. You're a pro. Awesome. So did we hear anything along the way here before I get started? Nothing on yours? And Tammy, nothing on yours either? I know you've just been kind of in and out. It's not easy to listen to me and those spirit boxes at the same time as I'm trying to give you history, but you are right. I do need to do a lot more.
I have heard 100 like 3 times.
Very interesting.
100.
Wow.
You know, I heard it, now that you said it's any word or anything, heard it once in the parking lot and then I heard it twice walking.
So parking lot back at the Pinckney Mansion. 300 is actually part of the how I got kicked out of this alley story, so it's very interesting. The number 300 specifically. So the fact that you've heard it 3 times might actually bring us back, circle back around. So behind me stands Philadelphia Alley. This is a very interesting space. It is a very common staple for ghost tours in Charleston, but I'm going to tell you the story a lot differently because you're not here to listen to campfire ghost stories. You're ghost hunting. My story version of this actually has a lot more detail based on the research I've done, so let's get into it. This used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, yeah, very interesting space indeed. Pictures, it's one of the most picturesque places we have, which is why I'm so sad that I can't go down there anymore, other than by myself or with the wife. But anyway, we all tell the story of one duel because we can actually prove that it occurred. So let's get into that. Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. And he moves down here because his fiancee Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. The attorney that's handling all of Amanda's money thinks that the doctor's just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's money. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because, again, you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. RI shows up here all the time, but these are the 2 main characters. So that means I need a secondary clue to verify who the RI actually belongs to. Happens all the time. But anyway, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. I know him. He's going to try to rob you and kill you and take all your money. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer. They become friends. The longer the doctor stays in Charleston, the more his practice starts to take off. He's making his own money. Amanda's moving down soon because he's proving his point that he wasn't after her money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Now, every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a whistling ghost. I promise you that. It's very cliche. We all have one. But I actually have proof of this one multiple times over. Let's finish up what's going on, and I'll tell you how. Now, him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy works. He gets better seats in the play. They talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III one night, and they're arguing over the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets a lot more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancee back home in Rhode Island, and they go their separate ways. You don't mess with the dude's lady, right? Ralph has friends here at the newspaper because he's a local. He goes to his friends, puts an ad in the newspaper, telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Dr. Ladd sees this ad, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley and settle this. Somebody's going to die, right? So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. Ralph has his one shot, puts it in the kneecap, on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pretty pissed off. The doctor drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. This guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the bullet himself, but he died regardless. Now, the campfire part of this story is that you can walk down this alley with a voice recorder and actually get the whistles from the doctor. Here's the interesting thing. I actually get on your spirit boxes songs with whistles in them and the word whistle as I'm telling this story. Now, when I say songs with whistles in them, think of Guns N' Roses' Patience. Think of the Maroon 5 Moves Like Jagger. These songs have whistling in them. I don't search for it, it just pops up when we're in this space. I get the word doctor, doctrine, R.I., Amanda, all of these little clues. 59, that's the address of where the doctor lived. Very interesting piece of history here. Here's how I got booted out of this place. That's the fun part. Avery, this is the fun part where I get in trouble, man. Don't you want to hear I got in trouble? Yeah, as I got bumped. So this alley didn't always come all the way through. So the other side has bricks that are older than the ones we're looking at right here on the edge. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. We have one full handprint and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. Now, I treat those bricks the same way I do a grave. You're not going to get a whole lot of activity out there because the kid's not staring at the damn brick. However, everybody one night...
I got whistles.
You got whistles.
I got whistles.
Wow. Oh. Like, was it from like a commercial? Like,
No, it was a whistle, like
a
someone's
horn.
whistling.
Interesting. Told you, whistles pop up all the time. Those bricks, everybody wants to put an EMF meter or spirit box nearby.
You can't.
There's no point. November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 decided they're going to try to huddle around this brick and try to get some activity. It is outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. He was not happy with me. We are not allowed in residential areas through tours. So I have to follow all the tourism laws, even though this is more of an experience with what you guys are doing. So he came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I worked in retail management for over 20 years and took Thanksgiving off that year. So I was happy to do so. The next day after that was November 28th of 2020. Again, I keep telling you the dates. There's a reason for it. I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like everybody else, because that's the law, or to reroute my tour. I decided it's not fair for my team, like I said, to work around 20 to 60 people. I rerouted. However, the story I was about to tell them, I didn't even believe it. It was a pirate story, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to go see what we can do and kind of wing it, right? Tickets were much cheaper back then, by the way. I can't wing things now. But at the same time, we go up there, and before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So we get up there, I'm like, okay, maybe something actually happened. Somebody else hears the number 300. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's pirate trial was November 28th of 1720. Exactly 300-year anniversary of when we were there. So I still take you guys up there in hopes that we'll find stuff. It is a hit or miss location. Worst case scenario, I had to read a crap ton of books on pirates, and I'm a vampire guy, so I had to fight through it and learn a whole heck of... I even play video games with pirates in them now just so I can get a different version of the story. So everything I will tell you once we get up to the Powder Magazine is based off of 2 or more resources of as much fact as I can give you, because it's pirates, how accurate it can actually be. So again, I can't count how many books I've read on pirates and how many movies and TV shows I've had to watch, but it's a crazy story. So anything we've heard before we move this space, other than the whistling that I'm super excited about? Oh, you don't have the one that's recording, so hopefully it shows up on yours somewhere. That would be really cool. So you
mine's not recording anything?
No. There's only one recording, and that's Amber.
Yeah, it was literally someone whistling.
Someone whistling.
It wasn't a song,
cool.
It was someone whistling.
Well, that'd be cool if it shows up on an audio piece too. Alright, so the next space we go to, if you guys want to continue recording with your videos, you can. You can definitely listen in with your spirit box along the way, and then we're going to go into some crazy pirate lore and see what we can find out about Anne Bonny. How about that? Alright, let's do this. You said you got your other camera recording?
Yes, I got sweet blood. Are you getting bit?
A little.
Oh, I'm getting eaten alive.
They don't hurt. They just like,
No, it's really bad.
Yeah, mine will. I feel something in the mouth.
On my arms, my legs, like I have at least 30 already on my legs.
So that way,
just don't itch them when they don't. Just don't itch them when they don't. Oh, now I have one on my thumb. was right on the camera.
That's cool. Huh? Fun.
Call that a coincidence?
What's that?
Call that a coincidence?
Not really.
That's like a pirate.
Oh, who lives in their
Maybe her
apartment?
name's Anne.
I was just like this.
Street.
I'm married to street.
Small break. All right. We got anything going on? These spirit boxes? What have we heard? Anything before I get started? Nothing on yours, Jimmy? Nothing but static? So I will tell you, your spirit box I've had for maybe 2.5 months now. The second night I used it, I'm closing things up, gathering devices, and the word pirate comes through as the person using it was handing it to me. And it wasn't like the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm like, are you kidding me? And that one doesn't record. Luckily, that person was close enough to the thermal imaging camera, and we had the audio. So I was super stoked about that.
cool.
But,
Were you texting me when I did
Yes.
well, that's not going to be right. You don't want to hear it. It goes around the earbud.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, yeah.
So this space is very, very odd, and the reason I bring this back here is because the other tours, like the pirate girl that you guys saw, that you said how ironic, that's pretty common down here, by the way. That's why I say it's, not ironic at all. They like to cut through. We're just going to stay out of their way. So if you guys didn't hear anything, which is perfectly fine, I'm just going to break right into why we're here and what we're going to be doing. So this is going to be a full-blown investigation. Everything will be in play, including lasers, and I'll give you the safe spots of where we can use those. But we're going to be talking about that little tiny building over there. That's the powder magazine. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars and 1 rebellion, and those are not crosses on that building. Those are earthquake bolts. We talked about the earthquake earlier, and I say the earthquake because it's really the only one we've ever had that had any kind of volume to it. But the basic gist behind earthquake bolts is that they're turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, you can turn them, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason I bring this up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. So it held like I said, gunpowder, and we're here because it is familiar to the same time period that Anne Bonny was in Charlestown. So it's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost, by the way. It's the same principle. It's along the tour routes of where we're actually allowed to be, and Anne Bonny, I actually have some activity from her here. But we talked about those Charlestown walls earlier when we were back at the Crazy Lodge Alley, where I've had the most activity out of that space ever on a tour. That's where the wall stood, where that garage is. So we're still inside the original Charlestown walls, but I like to point out that the wall went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me this way towards the battery, putting the gunpowder magazine into the corner on purpose. If a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship from 3 blocks away attacks it, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. It's about that thick. So in the event that the cannonball can reach it and go through, the gunpowder blows up. But there's sand in the roof that was put there during its construction to go up in the air and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea, but that shit don't work either. We had another powder magazine that was closer to the battery, got exploded, sand up, and building burned to the ground. No longer exists. This one's just never been attacked. It's a museum now. Spend $5, get out of the heat, learn a few things about architecture and the crazy wars that it served in. So this building took 10 years to build, small building. Does that sound like our government at all? 10 years, right? So the story actually begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708, you guys got to follow me on this one. There's a lot of twists. Gary, you ready? There's some crazy stuff in here. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. You guys with me so far? Jimmy, you got me? Okay.
I got you.
You're looking at me like you had that look, like you had to put the tree together. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she that you got to get the hell out of your country and land over here? They land in Georgetown. Now, it's just north of here between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation, keep things afloat. That's why we're here. Familiar building. Now, Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Again, I'm going to give you a lot of keyword terms in this location. So, kind of keep that mentality of Anne as we go through the story. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love. Guy number 1. Yes, I'm going to keep tally because there's a handful of them. Guy number 1 turns out to be James Bonney. You can already see where this is going because I've already mentioned their name a few times. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when you get down there, James Bonney is not the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. She falls in love again a few years later. We're going to keep fast forwarding. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the Captain Jack Sparrow character base, just so you guys know.
I was thinking that in my head. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, and there's reasons for it. Very quirky guy, like the whole 9 yards. But Calico Jack has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew because girls are bad luck. Sorry, ladies, but that's just the way it works. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. So she's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Most of us are adults here, sorry Avery, but you can put 2 and 2 together here. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and Calico Jack's going to be voted off. So that's how it's going to work. So instead, he drops her off in Cuba, go have the baby, come back, figure it out later. She has the baby, but returns with no child. We have no idea what happened to that baby. The other piece of this is that she's dressed like a female, which means she doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. That makes Jack pretty angry, and while she was away giving birth to Jack's child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's gonna go flirting, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females on the same ship, dressed like males, trying to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed, but went by Mark Reed to be a male. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain. And the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down one ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 that are not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1 bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. So obviously they're going to get taken. 2 ladies trying to take on the entire British Army, not going to work. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain and her boat and says, Jack, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. The word dog being very prominent here, obviously spirit box work. So, other piece of this is that the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly by themselves after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up to fight. So the 2 ladies go in front. He thinks they're men. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston. He has all of his Irish money. He brings Anne home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed because we don't know, and she dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending, I know. But after her pirate career is a complete mystery. Mary Reed died in that Jamaican jail a year later from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. So, I left 2 things out of here. You guys all know what you're doing with all of your spirit box and laser work by now, but as far as spirit box questions, I'm not going to give you the plethora of questions like what we did over at the Pinckney Mansion site, because again, we're dealing with pirate lore. But I did leave 2 facts out on purpose. The name of Calico Jack's ship, and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and his mistress. So, I'm going to steal you guys for 1 more minute before we spread out. I told you at the beginning of this tour a heated warning about feeling nauseous, dizzy, headache. Back in September of last year, I brought a team back here, about 8 or 9 people, and it was a nice cool night. We weren't sweating, like we're all glistening foreheads and cheeks right now. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, starts to drop. His boyfriend picks him up on the other side of him, and we start to carry him over there near that brick wall next to the powder magazine. There's a little bench there. We sit him down, get him water, feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know he doesn't know what you guys now know. I spread everybody out with their devices. They pull me aside. Nick, we got to tell you, we are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males on my tour, and it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the uncanny things that I see all the time. I would say I probably have an odd occurrence about once a month. That's probably one of my most odd, especially considering the space. That's why I give that heated warning at the very beginning. So here's what we're going to do in here. Cameras, you can go to the front. I actually encourage you guys to go to the front, which means you have to exit the lot, make a left, and go to the front of the powder magazine. Michelle, you can put your lasers in the front. Just make sure they stay on the ground. Try not to go above the powder magazine because those are apartments. You'll be shining in somebody's living room. Kind of get a little bit of footage there. As far as spirit box work, I mean, you're free to go to the front if you want to. I just ask that you stay out of the way of the other tours. Let them tell their part of the history here and move on, and then you guys can jump in and do whatever you need to do. Obviously, you've got that down. You've been doing great about keeping it on the left, so I don't have to give out your phone number when it's upside down, which is super great. But let's get those spirit boxes nice and high. Let's see what we can get out of these things. I'm going to go hang out over there by the wall. I'm going to give about 5 minutes before I do a round robin. If nothing specific is coming up, we'll wrap it up. If not, we're going to definitely stay around and see what's going on. This is a spot definitely for the REM. So you want to turn that little white button on in the back. You're not going to see a whole lot of readings unless you're near the corners because of the electrical poles. Just so you know. The closer you get to the street, the parking meter is going to make your numbers go off. I'm more after the colors in this location. So go after, and this is the spot I told you where I got a direct answer. Ask Ann Bonnie what color her hair was.
Black?
Get an extra.
Was it black?
I heard black.
It was not.
Oh, because you just said black when you
That
asked
was
that.
Mary Ree's hair color. Was black.
I know it clear as day.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It'll be on somebody's audio. You're getting flickering colors. And can you tell us what color your hair was?
I heard 100 again.
You like that number 100. And can you tell us what color your hair was? Use this box with the metal stick. Show us again, just like you did last week for me. Any numbers? Yeah. Amber, how's your spirit box working?
I'm not getting anything.
You're not getting anything? So happy.
Yeah, they said that's the fourth time now I've hit 100.
Crazy.
Something keeps coming up, I don't know.
Maybe you're older than what you're telling me.
No, I believe it.
Why do you think I'm doing this?
Dad, you should tell him some of your stories.
I have plenty of ghost experiences and encounters, and it's fascinating.
I'm supposed to follow you, right? It's weird. I could see more of a circle than you can in real life. Yeah. I can't see until light.
Oh yeah.
None.
It's better. It's interactive. It's fun.
Are you celebrating Christmas over there with your red and green?
Yeah.
It's getting a little dark. Let me follow up with him because he's got some light power.
And can you tell me the color of your hair? What was the name of the ship you were on? I was getting good stuff over in the corner.
Like you could hear say something?
Yeah.
What did they say?
There was one we heard it said, "We've seen it all." Henry, I got the name Henry. Babel. Value. Go around to the front, is it cool? And what color's your hair? Shine it on the wall. just said wall.
It says to say wall.
Higher.
It said higher.
No, it was funny is I told her, hey, she's shining on the wall, and then wall came through on this, and then she was doing it, it said higher.
Let me show you why it's saying that. Go ahead and kill your lasers. Let's come on over. Holy cow. So, yeah, we're going to definitely keep this going on right now. I'm going to show you why that just said wall and higher. Wow. This is an impressive group, by the way. This is our last stop, just in case you guys were wondering. I apologize if I didn't. So this video, you're going to have to huddle around just because it gets a little dark. Alright, I guess I'm going to show you on my phone. So it's at this location. Getting all kinds of weird things over here.
Well, the spirit box that I have works best over here. I get a lot more.
Yeah.
Like when you and I were standing over there, we were getting.
Just a better reception coming through. It's a lot easier to find. So, it'll flip. Nice. So basically, I want you guys to look. We're standing, this is right at the wall. A little higher on the wall right behind me. I want you to keep your eye there.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
That was caught with on the second or third night that I got the new upgrade on that camera. So in case you missed it, this is probably one of the best orbs I've ever caught was with this particular. So I'm hoping to capture something with the motion. We've actually been doing this experiment a lot more. It's fine. There it is. I mean, that thing's giant. Like, that's a big ass orb.
Or BAO, as they say in the business.
BAO. I will tell you, we're up to 93 terms on my word list, which is actually quite a bit for, I didn't look at the time span that we've actually spent together, but I'm going to get you guys the answers. As far as things I'm excited about here, I think I told some of you already, we got the word July on my word list while we were back at Philadelphia Alley. The number 7 shows up here twice often due to the doctor's birthday, July 7th, so 7-7. So I'm almost going to guarantee that there's going to be another 7 in a recording somewhere, whether it be audio or the regular Spirit Box recording. Obviously the word wall is very prominent here because we're, and then you got higher, almost like you're supposed to be up a little bit higher. So I'm hoping we're going to capture some activity right here. While we're recording that, but I do have the word Christianity here, but I also got the term Black Mass. So again, what's weird is we were talking about the word beard, right? So I had the word beard back at Pinckney Mansion site, and then we had the word black. So again, Blackbeard did spend time in Charleston, but it's a little too far apart for me to say that that's coming together as Blackbeard. Like I would need them a little bit closer together for that. But I do have Black Mass, and you heard the word black. So again, I'm going to try to speed through the answers here, just because we've gotten some negative stuff tonight, and that's a little concerning, especially with a new moon here. And we got the word regime. Reset. We also got the color red that showed up on the REM, which is very odd, which I discussed that with somebody about that red REM. We don't normally see the color red on there because that means somebody's touching that antenna. So kind of take that for what it's worth. He did get it here, and that is the color of Anne Bonny's hair. It is the color red. So very cool stuff, right? So let's go through the Anne Bonny stuff. Did anybody hear anything else crazy that I need to kind of explain to the group of what those terms actually mean? This was actually pretty decent here. Again, this is a hit or miss location. We never know what we're going to actually get here. What'd you get?
We had heard Henry together, and
Oh,
he said
yeah.
it wasn't anything to do with Anne, but it was location.
So here's the funny thing. I've actually been, we've been getting terms around Henry Lawrence Pinckney over here because he's buried at the cemetery on the other side of this powder magazine. So Henry Lawrence Pinckney is the great nephew of Eliza Pinckney, and he started a newspaper called the Mercury. So I'll get Henry, Lauren, and Mercury all in one night for spirit box activity. However, it's in a cemetery, and I don't have access. Only our corporate tour company in town has access to it, unfortunately. So we do have Henry that show up. So of course, if things pop up around that, I'll give you a little bit of a bio and your links to be able to see what he looks like. Anne Bonny, this is one of the few pictures you can find of her with a shirt on. We do get teenage boys on this tour, and I don't need angry moms. So this is one of the few shirts. The reason why she used to go topless is because she used to bare her breast to show the men she killed that they were just killed by a woman. I told you, this chick was pretty hardcore. So this is a basic gist of what she looked like. This is somebody's painting and depiction of her. I have seen other pictures of her where she looks a little manly, where she could have been passed off as a man on a pirate ship. Her parents' names, William Cormack and Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a second Mary. So we had Mary Reed, the friend/lover, but we also have Mary Brennan. So again, I need another clue. Again, I did that on purpose, so that way you guys weren't expecting it. The other thing I like to show you at this location is Calico Jack, just because he is based off the real Captain Jack Sparrow character. But this is Calico Jack. He was named that because of the jackets he wore. He stole them from the British captains he killed. Calico Jack.
Johnny Depp's way better looking than that.
So I just finished a series called Black Sails. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this TV show. It is very graphic, but it is all about this golden age of piracy, and it tells a different version of Anne Bonny and Calico Jack's story. But the character they chose for Calico Jack was phenomenal. So if you have a chance to watch this show called Black Sails, it is absolutely amazing. But again, very, very graphic. Definitely not recommended for 14-year-olds. Like my 15-year-old asked if she can watch it, and I said no, not happening. The name of his ship, the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to come through unless it's through a disembodied voice, like on Jimmy's device, where the other pieces would be the word king, would actually suffice in this location. I am very excited about the color red showing up again, and all of the flickering lights that Gary got. Great job with that device, by the way. That device is not always the easiest thing to use, and you actually got quite a bit of activity out of it, and the highest readings I've ever seen out of Lodge Alley. So kudos to you, sir. Great job. He's like, haha, where's the applause? As far as the rest of you, like, this was a fun group. I don't feel like we had a skeptic in the whole house, which was awesome for me. I didn't get heckled. That's always great too. But you guys all had fun, and you all brought your own base knowledge. So at this point, I will start collecting devices, but I want you all to start asking me a million questions, because you all had something going on with me sometime during the night. So a million questions is actually expected. And we still never got Avery to talk. So either he's stunned or he's just this way all the time. So my 15-year-old would have had y'all cracking up because she doesn't shut up. Half the time I got to push her into a bush and give that a break. I'm trying to work here. I'm going to take your camera first, good sir. Nice work. We'll see how good of a YouTuber you actually are.
I'll tell you that I didn't feel very well like walking.